How many times have you seen the film? Oh, okay. Hello, hello. How many times have you seen the film now?
About 3,000. No, about 6 times.
Okay. And how does it affect you looking at your whole life all these times?
Well, I've relied very much on the good taste of this gentleman here, who actually directed it and edited it.
Great. How did you get to know each other?
Michael Gordon, who many people here probably would know, he started Bumble and Bumble and made a big success of it, and then Estee Lauder bought it. 4 years ago, it was 4 years ago, I was 79, he said, I want to give you a present. I said, it's nothing I need. He said, no, we're going to make a film. I said, a film? Can you afford it?
Foolishly, he said yes. Well, it started out as a kind of a small tribute film for his birthday. And as soon as we got started and delved into the material, and as soon as we started filming, I think Michael and Vidal both became so enthusiastic that they committed to doing more. But clearly for me, knowing his life story, I always thought that it would make it's fertile material for a feature. It's worthy of one.
Vidal, obviously you come from very humble beginnings, and it seemed to me watching the film that...
How obvious is that?
Well, it certainly wouldn't be obvious sitting here, but seeing the film, you're so elegant, you're articulate, I know you're very well read, because we've talked about books before.
Yeah, we met.
Yeah, many times. And talked about books.
And talked about many things.
Yes. He's quite a philosopher, actually. But do you think that the humble beginnings and the loneliness and the being kind of left by your parents is what made you constantly need to go further?
I think there are two thoughts on that, philosophically, if you read that in manuals, books, whatever.
Psychology.
Yeah, it either takes it all out of you, all the energy, you never have a sense of feeling about yourself. And that's terribly important. With me, I went into the backyard, played some soccer, and truly didn't let it get me. In fact, believe it or not, I won the 100 yards in it's meters now, in a race at school, and I always had the confidence to feel that something will happen that's good.
Wow. That's pretty amazing considering the early part of your life, I think.
Well, the word orphanage usually means Oliver Twist,
Exactly.
And I did run away once. My father brought me straight back. He didn't show any love at all. And they had a meeting. And they said, well, what's wrong? I said, we're hungry. We want more food.
I think you ended up better than Charles Dickens and Oliver Twist combined. People constantly think that Madonna is the ultimate reinventor. We can remember this period of her life and this period of her music, blah, blah, blah. But you were the original reinventor, it seems to me. Like you had many, many different careers.
Best time was in hair. I really have to tell you that. In '54, we could go into the apprenticeship and we'd be here for about 3-4 hours. But in 1954, I was 26 and opened my first salon. And I knew then that I must do something towards changing the craft. I think that was truly important.
Because of wanting your own success, or because you had a vision of things looking differently?
Well, we're in a restaurant tonight. What was it called?
ELT steak.
Yeah. Guys,
I don't know where this is going. I'm interested.
go into the gentleman's room, you
I'm really
know,
worried about where it's going.
and look at the pictures of these beautiful women and look at the hairstyles. It was 20 years behind architecture. You know, the great architects, I mean, the Whitney had gone up, and the Seagram's building was there, and there's just some marvelous shapes coming out of so many crafts. And I looked at these pictures and I said, oh boy, could we cut angles into those heads.
They were kind of Hollywood portraits from the 40s and 50s, right? That were on the wall that you're talking about, yeah.
Yes.
So old Hollywood glamour shots that, you know, you look at them, the 1950s seem like they were the 1850s compared to what the 60s and you're looking at.
They were very pretty, don't get me wrong. I mean, hairdressing was very, very pretty. But in '54, when we moved into the first salon, as I said, I was 26, the freedom came. I said, I'm not going to do any of this old stuff. Well, it took 9 to 10 years to change before we got to the Grace Coddington 5-point card. First it was the Nancy Quam bob with the short back and along the sides, and the geometrics with Cara Channing. Yeah, we cut her hair for a Broadway show.
Really?
Yeah, 3 geometric wigs, which she changed during the show. And it was great fun because she had good bones. You see, I've always felt, yes, it's nice to see a pretty woman with hair that possibly has got too much lacquer in it and what have you, and possibly wouldn't last the distance. Now you started to think of hair as a substance growing from the human form that you could cut shapes into. And you could give a young girl, not just a society woman, but a young girl, every 4 to 5 weeks, a haircut. And she could save $1 or $2, whatever it was. Nowadays it's probably $200-300. But you could save that and get a great haircut once a month, once every 5 weeks. So there was an enormous change in those 10 years. And we came to, I'll tell you how we came to America. In 1964, I was doing a show in Paris for the collections, and there were triplets from Brooklyn. And I said, I'm doing a show in New York in 2 months' time. Would you like to be my models? And they said, yes. Now they chose 14 hairdressers, one from 14 different countries. And they asked me if I'd be the British representative. And of course, by that time, we were doing haircuts that, as I said, the hair was very pretty that everybody did. I'm not knocking it. But ours was so different. The shapes, the angles, the cuts.
We know this by the fact that when the Beatles